Before explaining the difference between は and が, let us ask you some questions. Do you think this sentence is correct? Yes, it is correct. Did you think this が should be
は
Did you think this が should be
を
If so, please watch to the end of this video. Next question. Do you think these が can be replaced with は or
を
Yes, they can. Depending on context and what you really want to express. Actually, what mental images you have in your mind and what you're trying to convey decides which to use は or が. Really, the fundamental difference lies there. In order to understand these grammatical words, please don't compare them with English grammar because trying to compare will only confuse things. It's like Japanese people can't understand the and until they stop trying to find the Japanese equivalent. It is commonly said that ga indicates a subject and wa indicates a topic, but what is subject and what is topic, by the way? Subject is the thing that is being discussed, considered or studied, and topic is a subject that is discussed, written about or studied. They might confuse you. Therefore, let us use Japanese terms to explain the particles. Ga is used to indicate
主語
wa is used to express
取り立て題目対比
Let's start with what, because explaining what fundamentally means will make it easier to compare these particles. When you use the particle wa, for example,
おばあちゃんは70歳です
the content, grammar, is focused, and other contents are unfocused but still there in your mind. This is a very important point. Actually, this is what does, but ga doesn't. That is what
取り立て
means. You are taking out the particular content, grammar, from the rest of the family members and standing it out as a topic. Also, it can imply that the topic is different from the other contents. Which means, in this case, your grammar is 70 years old, but the other members are not 70 years old. You're not articulating it, but your listeners can assume it. That is what
対比
refers to.
対比
Can be implied when there is a comparison in the situation. Let's look at more examples. Here are two bags that you can compare.
赤いバッグはかわいい
As for the red bag, it is pretty, but the other one is not.
暑いのは平気
As for being hot, I'm okay, but I'm not when it's cold.
ビールは飲む
As for beer, I drink it, but I don't drink wine.
京都には行く
As for Kyoto, I'm going to, but I'm not going to Tokyo.
ゆきさんは好きだ。
As for Yuki, I like her, but not the other girls.
ゆきさんとはデートしたい。
As for Yuki, I want to go on a date with her, but not with the other girls.
ケーキは太る
As for cake, it is fattening, but canteen jelly is not.
寒天、
Is a gelatin extract from seaweed.
お父さんからはもらった。
As for Dad, I received some money from him, but not from Mum. Note that the
対比、
is not always consciously meant by the speaker when there is no comparison in the situation, especially when you're simply establishing a topic in a new conversation. Selecting the topic from other possible topics you could talk about.
旅行はどうだった？新しいカフェはどうだった？お花見はもう行った？
If there's a situation where you and or your listeners think the selected topic has something to be compared, the what includes the meaning of
対比、
in that case, the topic can be pronounced with stress on the wa.
今日はいい天気だね。
Here's a quiz.
今日はかわいいね。
What do you think the girl will say to him?
今日はっていつもは可愛くないってこと？
Remember the what can include the meaning of
対比、
even though it wasn't intended by the speaker. In this case, she didn't think he was simply establishing a topic, today, but she thought he was comparing her, today's, appearance, with the other days. He should have said,
今日もかわいいね。
what is used to clarify the topic you're about to discuss, implying there are other topics you could have chosen. It can imply that the selected topic is different from other things, especially in a situation where the speaker and or listeners can easily think about the comparison between the topic and the other things. Now, let us explain what
主語、
refers to
主語、
is the main component in terms of the sentence structure, and refers to the door of an action, or who or what is in the condition that you're describing. There's an important thing you need to remember. At the precise moment when you say,
テニスが、
the content, tennis, comes to the front of your mind, and all other thoughts are hidden in the dark. Because you want to emphasize or highlight tennis.
テニスが好きだ。
Let's look at more examples.
おばあちゃんが編み物をしている。お父さんがお小遣いをくれた。赤いバッグが欲しい。おいしい焼き魚が食べたい。妹が子犬が欲しいと言ったら、お母さんがダメだと言った。おばあちゃんが柔らかいパンが好きだから、私がうちで作ってあげよう。スマホが欲しい、買いたい、買える。
As explained earlier, the fundamental difference between ga and what lies in what image you have in your mind in terms of meaning. In terms of the sentence structure, ga is used to construct a sentence, indicating
主語、
On the other hand, what particle is used just to add the meanings
取り立て、題目、対比。
to a word. Therefore, what can replace ol, which indicates
目的語。
but ga can't because it's a
主語、
marker. What can follow particles. But ga can't because it's a
主語。
marker. Let's see when ol can be used.
欲しい。
Isn't a verb but an adjective, so technically, ol shouldn't be used.
天気がいい。風が冷たい。花がきれいだ。
However, ol sometimes replaces the ga before.
欲しい。
For example,
私はスマホが欲しい。
when you want to highlight
私。
by setting it as
主語。
the ga before
欲しい。
seems to be replaced with ol in order to clarify the highlight.
私がスマホを欲しいんだってば。
Ga is often used with
たい。
and potential verbs. But you can use ol instead if you think the
スマホ。
is the object of the verb to buy rather than
主語。スマホが買いたいと妹が言っている。妹がスマホを買いたいと言っている。スマホが買える店はここです。ここがスマホを買える店です。
As mentioned earlier, it's a precise moment to have a mental image, and we are not consciously aware of what is happening in our brain. At every single moment, we use each particle while we're speaking. However, when we construct sentences for writing, we have enough time to think, in order to make the sentences better, for our readers to understand easily. Here's a question for you. How would you improve these sentences? Please pause this video and write down your answers.
おばあちゃんが柔らかいパンが好きだから私がうちで作ってあげよう。柔らかいパンが好きな祖母のために私がうちで作ってあげよう。妹が子犬が欲しいと言ったらお母さんがダメだと言った。子犬が欲しいという妹の願いを母は受け入れなかった。
Did you think this ga should be what? You can use what if you have a mental image like this. Did you think this ga should be all? All sometimes seems to be used before
好き。
though it's not grammatically correct. Let us explain about the word
好き。
Have you ever thought about this?
好き。
Is often translated into the English verb to like. However, it is not a verb, but an adjective, as you may know.
おばあちゃんが好きだ。柔らかいパンが好きだ。
Ga indicates,
主語。
as it does with other adjectives. By the way, do you know about Japanese nominalizations? They are nouns that are created from verbs.
使い。歩き。泳ぎ。話。勝ち。休み。遊び。好き。好き。
Is actually a noun that is created from the verb
すく。
and is also used as an adjective.
嫌い。
Is also a noun and an adjective. It is a rare case that a noun which is created from a verb functions as an adjective. Therefore, interestingly, ga particle indicates not only the subject of the verb, to like, but also the object of the verb, to like, if you think in English. Both
が好き、
and
を好き、
seem to be used, but technically
を好き、
is not correct in terms of grammar. Because all shouldn't be used to indicate the
主語、
of an adjective. There is another verb that means to like.
好む、
So, my grandma likes soft bread could be expressed like these. But this is how we normally say it in Japanese.
おばあちゃんは柔らかいパンが好きだ。すく、
Is normally used in a particular set phrase,
あいつはいけすかないやつだ。
or used in passive voice.
トムくんはみんなに好かれている。好む、
Is normally used in te form, linked with the main verb.
和歌や俳句も好んで読む。時々食べるが、好んでは食べない。
Now, please try the following questions. Please choose what or ga.
あなたの学校はどこですか？
She's selected the
題目、
your school from other topics she could have chosen.
僕の学校は桜公園の近くです。
He could ignore the examiner's question and talk about where he lives or something else, but he selects the
題目、
my school. Ga can be used if
桜公園、
comes to the front of his mind.
好きなスポーツは何ですか？
She needs to clarify what she's going to ask, selecting the
題目、
from other possible choices.
僕の好きなスポーツはテニスです。
He selects the
題目、
favorite sport. He can answer
テニスが好きです。
or simply
テニスです。
if she gives choices
スポーツはどれも好きですか？
or
テニスとサッカーは好きですか？
he could say
テニスは好きです。
to express
対比、
すみません。おすすめはどれですか？
he selects the
題目、
recommendation. He could ask the price or something else. If he wanted to emphasize or highlight recommendation, he would say
おすすめがどれか教えてもらえますか？
チーズケーキがおすすめです。
she wouldn't say
チーズケーキはおすすめです。
トム君のカバンはどれですか？
the teacher clarifies the
題目、
Tom's bag, selecting it from among the other bags.
これですか？
いいえ、
これですか？
いいえ。これがトムくんのカバンです。
This one comes to the front of the speaker's mind.
先生、今日の宿題は何ですか？
She clarifies the
題目、
today's homework. She could ask for a permission to go to a bathroom. If she says,
先生、2番の問題がわかりません。
question 2 is all she has in her mind at the moment, not comparing it with anything.
すみません。郵便局はどこですか？
あの白くて大きいビルが郵便局です。
Big white building is the only thing he needs to have in his mind in order to answer the question. If he says,
あの白くて大きいビルはホテルです。
he is comparing the big white building with something else.
そして、その隣が郵便局です。
The next building comes to the front of the speaker's mind.
このシャツは 30% オフです。
This shirt is distinguished from the other items that she has already showed to the customer. She would use ga if the customer asked,
どれが 30% オフですか？
both correct.
この青色はいいですね。
She thinks, compared to the other blue colors, this blue is nice.
この青色がいいですね。
She isn't comparing this blue with the other blue colors. This blue is nice. Remember, which particle is used depends on what the speakers have in their mind.
あなたが好きです。あなた。
Is the only person he is thinking about. If he said,
あなたは好きです。
by mistake, what would he accidentally express? Maybe, he likes her but he doesn't like her family, or he is thinking about the other girls he has met.
姫路城はどれ？どれが姫路城？どれは姫路城？
wouldn't make sense, because
題目、
should be something specific,
どれ、
doesn't refer to anything particular.
これが姫路城だよ。
This one is all he needs in his mind to answer the question. He's not comparing it with anything else.
これが姫路城か。先生、この漢字の書き方がわかりません。教えてもらえますか？
はい、いいですよ。漢字の読みと意味はわかりますか？
はい、飛ぶ、で、to fly ですよね。
How to write this kanji is all the speaker has in his mind at the moment. If you want to express
対比、
what particle can be used,
読みと意味はわかるんですが、書き方はわかりません。
the speaker is comparing the meaning of the kanji and how to read it with how to write it.
トム君の趣味は読書ですよね。
はい、
ぜひこれは読んでほしいというおすすめの本があったら教えてください。
ジャンルは何でもいいですか？
Simply establishing.
題目、
When you recommend something, you normally compare it with other things. Ga can be also used. The ga particle in the sentence
これが読んでほしい本です。
would make sense because the ga indicates the
主語、
of the sentence. This is the book I want you to read.
おすすめの本、
Is the
主語、
of the verb.
ある。
はじめまして。久美と申します。
はじめまして。エミです。久美さん、お住まいはどちらですか？
桜町です。
桜町？桜町は、きれいな桜が咲く公園がたくさんある町ですよね。
The speaker has selected where Kumi lives as
題目、
the question could be about her job, hobby, family, and so on. The speaker has selected Sakura-machi as
題目、
comparing it with the other towns.
公園、
Is the only thing in the speaker's mind at the moment. If what particle was used, it would imply that there aren't any other things in the town.
はい、よくご存知ですね。
友達が教えてくれたんです。新緑の絶景が見られる場所もあって、初夏にはよくピクニックに行くと言っていました。
多分、小川が流れているところのことでしょうね。
What particle could imply, you didn't tell me.
新緑の絶景、
Is the
主語、
of the potential verb to be able to be seen or to be visible. What particle would imply that nothing else could be seen? Ga particle can't follow particles.
小川、
Is the only thing in the speaker's mind at the moment. It's the
主語、
of the predicate to be flowing. What particle could imply that there's no air flowing?
久美さんは外国に行ったことがありますか？外国に行ったことはありますか？
いいえ、ないんです。飛行機が怖くて。エミさんは？
実は昔スイスに住んでいたことがあるんです。
The speaker has selected the
題目、
Kumi in a new conversation. ga would be used if kumi comes to the front of your mind. For example, if Kumi keeps saying that her sister has been abroad, you may think, okay, I know your sister has, but you, Kumi, have you been abroad? Whether Kumi has been abroad or not, is the only thing the speaker has in her mind at the moment. The speaker is comparing the experience of going abroad with the other experiences, such as living or working overseas.
飛行機
Is the only thing she needs in her mind to talk about her fear of flying in an airplane. The experience of living in Switzerland is what the speaker wants to highlight, and it doesn't need to be compared with anything else.
そうなんですか？スイスはチーズやチョコレートが美味しいんでしょ？
美味しいですよ。ラクレットというチーズ料理があるんですが、そのチーズが私は一番好きなんです。
Simply establishing.
題目
What particle would imply that other food isn't tasty?
へえ、飛行機は怖いけど、スイスには一度は行ってみたいんですよね。
飛行機で死ぬ確率より、車の事故で死ぬ確率の方が高いって言うし、大丈夫ですよ。
確率ではそうなんでしょうけど。
Gar particle implies that an airplane is the only thing the speaker has in her mind at the moment. She is not comparing it with the other things. What particle implies that the speaker is comparing flying in an airplane with going to Switzerland.
2.
Is a particle, so gar particle can't be used. The speaker is comparing once with multiple times. The probability of dying due to car accidents should be highlighted in the speaker's mind.
で
Is a particle, so gar particle can't be used.
趣味は何ですか？誕生日はいつですか？駅はどこですか？おすすめはどれですか？体調はどうですか？
WH question words normally follow.
題目
In many cases, because such questions should be used to refer to a new topic in a conversation, unless you ask someone to repeat the words she or he has just said, because you couldn't catch them.
趣味が何ですって？誕生日がいつですって？駅がどこですって？おすすめがどれですって？体調がどうですって？
昨日さ、買い物に行ったらね、スーパーが
なんだって？
花子ちゃんの誕生日は来月の。
花子ちゃんの誕生日がいつだって？
Either gar or what can be used depending on what you want to express.
これが何かわかる？
わかんない。あそこにあるのはおもちゃでしょ？
じゃあ、これは何かわかる？
Gar should be used.
何が面白いの？いつがいい？どこが空いてそう？どれがおすすめ？
When you clarify
題目
which you're about to discuss, it should be something specific that your listeners can clearly imagine.
何、いつ、どこ、どれ。
WH question words do not give you any clear image. If you're interested in our grammar guide, please visit the link in the description box.